Hey, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Hope you're having a fantastic day. As always, shout out to the 19. Have a college women's basketball player of the year. I don't know if it's so much an update, but just something that I think is really interesting that nobody's really talking about yet. And maybe they ought to start talking about it. It's also probably going to have some impact on the draft for the WNBA as well, especially those teams that maybe are mid mid first round, even maybe late first round, not necessarily top, three or four picks, but after that, some player that a lot of teams probably weren't thinking about a year ago at this time. Now, you can see here, just to set this up, national reporters turning a blind eye to Becker's fuels breakout of two emerging March Madness prospects. Basically, all they're saying is after all the talk of the anointment of Paige Bueckers that, hey, maybe there are some other players like Anna Hidalgo who could be the player of the year. That is basically what this is going through here. You had the L. Duncan show, which we hadn't talked about in a while, saying the biggest impact player heading into March Madness is Lauren Betts at UCLA, who's having a phenomenal season, by the way. A true I don't see. I hesitated because I don't even want to say a true double double machine because people are going to take that as hating on Angel Reese. But no, she's a 2010 player, even more rarefied air. She's a 2010 20-point, 20 rebound player. She's playing fantastic for UCLA in the post. And then, of course, there's to talk about Hannah Hidalgo as well and Olivia Miles, right? But I want to give you something else to think about, okay? I want to give you something else to think about. See if you let me know. I gotta put these in because I want to hear this too. Forgot my headphones. So we have this. Anybody remember this? That we're gonna back up and we're gonna play because it was fun. Haley Van Lith. Let me set this up for you, and here's why I'm talking about you. And this may shock talking about her, and this may shock everyone. But this goes back to what everyone remembers of the Caitlin Clark "you can't see me" nonsense and what Angel Reese did, and that's always been the talk, and they're still lying about it, or some may just be misinforming because they don't know, right? Not that long ago, Stephen A. Smith talked about the whole thing and he got it entirely wrong. Here it comes from the Lith herself.
So when Caitlin Clark did the "you can't see me" gesture, it was against Louisville.
Yeah.
And it looked like it was directed towards you. Walk me through it from your vantage point.
Right after the game, I texted her and I was like, the media is dumb. I'm sorry. They just make stuff up. And then they just put it all over the internet and everyone thinks it's true. We were laughing about it because she did it to her strength coach. She didn't do it to anyone on our team, especially me. I didn't even see it in the game. I was probably, dribbling the ball up the court after she just hit a three in our face. It's just funny how like camera angles and perceptions are skewed.
I love, she said, media's wrong. You guys are dumb.
It was hilarious. We laughed about it after. So my perception, like I don't even have one because I didn't even know it happened until I saw it over Instagram later.
So when
When I first saw that, I thought, man, Haley Van Lith may be my new most favorite person in the world. She just starts right out with, the media is dumb. Yeah, they need it. They have a narrative. They want to push that narrative. But the other thing about Haley Van Lith was she went from Louisville to LSU, didn't really fit in well with that team and what they were doing, didn't have a great season, got torched. And that's, was a shame. What so many people remember is she was left out on an island with Caitlin Clark and got torched in that final 8 game to the point where, there's that clip, and I couldn't find it. I can't believe I couldn't find it, where she just kind of shrugs her shoulders after Caitlin hits another three, like, what the F am I supposed to do? How about a little help? Here's the thing. Haley Van Lith went to TCU, transferred to TCU. Now, TCU has not been in the tournament, not gone far, not made a Final Four, not been in the tournament since 2010. And here we go, rankings. Yeah, down there at number 9. Now, I don't know. I'm not sure if this is today or not because TCU did just lose, although it has their record in here. The ratings get updated every week, and I think they were 9, but maybe they didn't fall with the one loss. But as you can see, they're ranked in the top 10 in the country. They are ranked number 9 in the country. UConn with Paige Bueckers at number 6 with a 19-2 record. So, okay, now what am I getting to with all this? And yeah, I'm talking about player of the year for Haley Van Lith. No one's talking about that. Why am I talking about that? We have Paige Bueckers, who still is in the conversation, of course, as she should be to that point. Let's look at Paige here. 19.6 points, 4.5 rebounds, 4.2 assists before we get a little further into all that. Now, that is at UConn, blue blood, UConn, 4 and 5-star recruits all the time, surrounded by other great players. Haley Van Lith went to TCU, who has not been in the tournament, not even made the tournament since 2010. 18.3 points, 4.5 rebounds, 5.8 assists. Which is more impressive? Which is more impressive? Almost identical numbers. More rebounds and assists, I believe, right? Same number of rebounds, more assists for Haley, a point more for Paige. Now, Paige is a more efficient scorer. I think she gets a lot more wide open looks than a lot of other players, but she does make those open looks, so I got to give her that. Haley Van Lith probably takes some more difficult shots. Caitlin Clark was the same way. It was interesting, actually, after her not so great start in the WNBA in terms of her shooting, right, and getting into a rhythm with that offense. And she wasn't barely shooting any twos, shooting a lot of threes and not shooting them well. She shoots them from a further distance than anyone. So her shooting percentage, when you look at the shots she takes, is actually quite good, right? Can you imagine? No, I don't mean this as any disrespect to Lexi Hull. I'm just saying you also, I'm sure that video recently of Caitlin making like, what was it, 50 of 54 threes in practice. Can you imagine? And those were the types of looks Lexi Hull was getting on that team when she shot 47% to be second in the league. Can you imagine Caitlin Clark getting that kind of open look time and time again from three? But Caitlin was actually a very efficient scorer as well, because she was very, very good from two. She got better and better. But Paige is very efficient. Haley Van Lith, the point I'm trying to make, is probably not getting quite the open shots that Paige Bueckers is getting on that stacked UConn team that she's getting with TCU. So here's my question to you. And looking at these numbers, and we can go down to the more, get into a little more detail. 45% from two, only 32% from three. It's a little below average, but it's about normal for her. But she doesn't take an overwhelming number of threes because, about 35% of her shots are three. So my question for all of you is, you're looking at these numbers, you're looking at where Hallie Van Lith is playing on a team in the top 10 that she has in the top 10 that hasn't been in the tournament since 2010. When you look at Paige Bueckers' numbers, you say, well, wait, if Paige Bueckers is in this conversation, doesn't Hallie Van Lith have to be in this conversation? And I'm not limiting, right? I know there's people I'm leaving off. I'm just talking about really Paige and Haley because their numbers, surprisingly to me, are so very similar. Where Haley actually has an edge in assists, dead even in rebounds, are about a point apart. Paige shoots a little more efficiently. Paige plays on a much more stacked team. So again, if Paige is in this conversation, why wouldn't Haley be in this conversation? But I've heard no one mention Haley Van Lith for Player of the Year. So my question to all of you is, why or why not? Because it hasn't been part of the narrative, right? Just like I went back to that "you can't see me" stuff, where after Angel Reese did it, the narrative became she was just responding to obnoxious trash talk from Caitlin Clark. But none of that is true. And again, this has nothing to do with Angel Reese. I'm not criticizing Angel Reese for what she did then. What I'm saying is the media after that made that narrative. And as Haley herself said, the media is dumb. Same thing here. Not a knock on Paige Bueckers, but Haley Van Lith is playing incredibly well at TCU. If you put one in the conversation, and I'm not saying either one is Player of the Year, I'm talking about putting them in the conversation. If Paige is in it, Haley has to be in it. And more to the point, Also, what does this mean? No one was talking about after that season at LSU. No one was talking about Haley Van Lith in the WNBA. Certainly not a first round pick. But now, again, looking at what Paige is doing, and I know Haley's also only 5'7", but she's also got a lot of international 3v3 experience. She's a really good ball handler. Kind of Hidalgo's 5'7". Olivia Miles, I think, is shorter. Correct me if I'm wrong, everyone, but isn't Olivia, maybe not, but I don't think Olivia is exactly tall. But this means, hey, teams who are drafting, maybe six through 13, the rest of that first round, might have to reevaluate what they're looking at and say, hey, Haley Van Lith might be an option we need to look at if we need a point guard for our team going forward. Even if it's a backup point guard to start where she gets that time off the bench, easier in, and she develops over the next year or two in the WNBA. Maybe if it's still around, she plays unrivaled next year or goes overseas, whatever it is. She could be a very good option for a team in the later round of the first round. But anyway, I know some of you are probably like, "Oh, you're talking too long." Well, let me know in the comments below what you think. Are you surprised by this? When I brought up these numbers, were you like, "Wait, Haley Van Lith, where's he going with this? We can't put her in that conversation." And then you look at the numbers, you look at them versus Paige Bueckers. Why can't we put her in this conversation? Again, TCU, I will say for the 15th time, not in the tournament since 2010. Haley Van Lith has him ranked 9th in the nation. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks, as always, for checking out this video. Really do appreciate it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It really does help out a ton, and I do appreciate it. And I will talk to you later.